Hey guys, People Clueless Gamers, back to The Walking Dead, Season 7, Episode 3, The Cell. So whenever I hear a title like that, The Cell, I think of the cell that Morgan built last season. I assume this episode has nothing to do with that whatsoever, but last week we kind of had a nice slow down episode after that very brutal premiere where we lost people and it was just going 100 intense the entire time. We didn't see anything of Negan, but we got hints of his group last week when we went to our new community here in the kingdom. Very prosperous, seemed very large, not a lot of fighters, but still some people in there, ruled by King Ezekiel. So we saw the whole kingdom through the eyes of Carol and Morgan as we caught up with them, which was their whole story was kind of going on in the realm of the same time as Negan capturing our group of survivors, leading them into that wood trap, killing the people, and then afterwards. So we're in the same time frame, which is good. I like to see something like that. We do learn that this group is also under the thumb of the Saviors. They're kind of trading hogs that they filled up with rotting guts from walkers, which, was kind of like, an FU to the Saviors, but still, they have to keep giving more and more supplies to them, just like the Hilltop does, and now just like our group does. So I hope we get back to Negan this week. I assume we're going to, because I don't think it would serve the story well if we had another episode where he's not in it. The only other people we could check in with are Tara and Heath, and I don't think The Walking Dead's going to jump to their story just yet. I think that's going to be a little bit later, because it wouldn't work well with pacing. So, I'm excited for this episode, guys. So, without further ado, here we go. Who's the boss? Oh my god. They still have old tapes of this that they're watching here at the Savior compound? Wow, Dwight is watching Who's the Boss. How about that? That's a throwback. So we're kind of getting a little bit of Dwight's life here. He seems to live a nice, prosperous, very good life here. Savior culture clearly doesn't seem like it's the best thing for your health, but they make well from all the groups that they trade with or forced to trade with. They live a good life, but definitely Dwight seems like he gets what he wants. He's one of those top people. Even though Negan looks like did something to his face, he gets what he wants. Wow. They all bow to Negan, every one of them. So he's like a god to them, where they have to treat him like that. That's interesting. But he went through a lot of effort and went to a lot of different people he took from just to make one sandwich. But I guess you have to appreciate the little delicacies in this world now that everything's gone. Is that supposed to be a representation of, like, that Walker tried to escape? He's trying to be strong, but it's all the shit that keeps happening to him as he's on that stake kind of has put him down, and that's kind of a representation to Dwight. Or maybe I'm just kind of reading into that. Wow, so they're feeding Daryl, I'm assuming, dog food. Damn. That's some low the low, I guess. Wow, holy shit. Daryl's naked and shit. Man, I wonder if they've at least healed up the gunshot wound. Well, that's a hell of an opening. I like the kind of the representation of how Dwight made his sandwich, all the things he went through, and then how he just makes Daryl's sandwich with just 2 pieces of bread and some dog food smeared on it. Wow, life, as we expected, not that great for people under the thumb of the Saviors. A lot of music montages to kind of showcase the passages of time going on so far here. Dwight is enjoying this. It's progressively, they did patch him up, but progressively over time, they're breaking him. And Dwight is not even handing him a sandwich, he's just throwing it on the floor. It's progressively getting worse and worse and worse. So that's the woman that was out there in the forest with Dwight, with the other girl that ended up dying. They tried to get away. They look pretty good here in this kind of like mock, it looks like an old jail that they've like revamped and made into little apartments. They definitely do well, the Saviors. So kind of Dwight there, telling him, hey, you could be the Walkers or, basically be dead. You could be like those people that, I don't know what they're doing with the Walkers here. They're like hurting them. Is that like a gladiator arena? Like, what is the point? Is it to keep them, because other Walkers attract other Walkers, so like what is the point of keeping them in there? Or you could be like Dwight, who he learned his lesson, and he's kind of, one of the right-hand men of Negan. I mean, he's not like Simon level, where like Negan really respects him seemingly, but he's there. He's above all these other people. He's able to bully them around, so we'll have to see what happens with Daryl. But he tried to break away too, and look what happened to his face. Look what happened to him. Daryl knows he tried to save them out there. Now we know that they were running, away from Negan now. But Daryl, he's got his spirit still, but I think it's going to be broken over time, and I think that's what this song is representing.
And lighten up. Pick whoever you want, as long as she says yes.
Yeah, Negan's not about rape.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, he's not about rape in his culture. It's his one rule. It's like Negan is trying to welcome him into the circle as one of his right-hand men. But he has, obviously, Dwight did something Negan didn't like. And that's why he burnt his face or whatever. And that's, whatever Dwight was doing, that's what caused him to run away. The burn then became his punishment. And that was a very quick little scene there before the commercial. But that is exactly why. There's this tension that goes on between them where Dwight is trying to prove himself again, doing the grunt work, being the loyal servant, but he was very hesitant about the whole sex kind of thing. So maybe Dwight, kind of encroached on Negan's territory, and then that's what caused him and the woman and the other girl to run away, and then he got punished for that. Now he's kind of just realizing, fuck, there's no way out of this. I need to kneel at the feet of Negan, and I need to do whatever he says, despite him kind of tantalizing me and trying to say, hey, you want to get with any girl you want, as long as they say yes. He's saying no because he knows that could lead to bigger problems, so he's staying away from that. Gangsta Burger. Gangsta Wings. I wonder if that food truck was any good. Daryl's getting an idea of how to get out. He's still keeping that hope alive, man. But I think Negan's whole thing is he wants to break him like he broke Dwight and make him one of his right-hand men. I think that's what he really wants. Oh, wow. How the hell did he do that? All right, he's out. I don't know how far he's going to get, but he did get out. Maybe he kept knocking the hinge enough that, when the door closed, it didn't close properly, and that's how he was able to open it. That could be. Something happened here, maybe they fell off the bridge or something, because they all look splattered everywhere. I wonder what Dwight's doing out here. They said it's a grab and go, right? So does that mean they're kidnapping someone? Wow, look at that guy's freaking jaw. That does not look right. That spine is completely out. They had to fall from some kind of height, you would assume. Well, that answers my question that yes, they have been falling off the bridge because walkers are idiots. So they just keep falling off and falling off over and over. And he's in a bad situation when he's laying on the ground with them. It's gonna be that woman, right? I think you should take it from her. You saw that she tried to escape and it didn't work out well. She tried to reach him. So you have these people in Negan's compound that clearly love what he does and support him fully, and then people who are just under his thumb and they can't get away. People like her who've tried. Does he really think he's going to be able to get a bike and get out of here? God, it's fucking whistling again. You're in trouble. Here comes the principal. Yes, we are, Negan. I think he's just going to keep abusing Daryl over and over. I mean, look what he did to Dwight's face, assumingly. That was probably Negan, right? I appreciate Daryl's spirit. I can't say I wouldn't do it, but how far does he think? Even if he somehow got out of here, and he got all the way back to Alexandria, Alexandria's under the thumb of them too now. How do you think this is going to work? Are you going to just try to run away on your own? Daryl doesn't seem like the type of person that's going to start abandoning Rick now, so I guess you just think irrationally in those moments. One group working in harmony. Yeah. Hey, he's going to let him become one of the men.
This is the only way.
Yeah, he's breaking him, man, real good. I'd take option one, or the last option he gave, even though I would hate him if I was Daryl.
Screw it.
He didn't flinch. Yeah. He's tough, Daryl. There's something he admires about Daryl.
So,
He loves that.
I'm gonna go. Get me a drink.
He's gonna psychologically eventually break him. Like these guys gonna beat him up now? Yep. It's gonna take time, but I think he is gonna beat Daryl, and he's gonna break him, and we're gonna see him kind of on the other side against Rick. I think it's just only a matter of time. I don't think she's playing a game. I think she knows what it's like. Yep. So they went back to the life, I guess. So maybe they didn't get captured by Negan after that. They just realized there was no hope. And they kind of just went back to Negan and served their punishment. She's sad about it now.
But there's only one of him and all of us, so why are we living like this?
It's true.
Where we are.
It is true.
We were losing. Now we're not.
Yeah, and he gave them a place, protection, supplies.
Dig up your dead wife.
Wow.
And feed her body to the crows. You feel that?
Damn.
You feel it? Okay, D.
That's breaking someone. Holy shit. He got him to go by, that's your weakness. People is your weakness. All the people he's ever talked to, his own wife, he used that against them. And I think Dwight is struggling that he hates being this type of person, but he realizes, or he thinks that there is no hope. There is nothing left beside Negan's world. And this is what he's become. He's become a monster. He's kind of, in a way, oh, is he going to do it? Yeah, he shot him. And I don't think he shot him in a bad way. I think he shot him and he put him out of his misery almost. That's what he wanted, the guy. He forced him into something else to get him to go, and Dwight ended up putting him out of his misery. And I think his burnt face is not only a physical representation of what Negan can do, but I think it's kind of like a Harvey Dent two-face kind of thing. Is that's what he is. The burnt face is the Negan part that he obeys, but he is still some of himself, and he keeps struggling with this.
A lot better than being dead.
I don't know, man. This seems even worse than being dead. That's a very awkward but intimate conversation in some ways that they had, because they used to share something, and now Negan is, she's with Negan because she has to be, and Dwight is clearly not happy. They both hate their lives. Is that Glenn's crushed skull? Because if it is, that's really fucked up. Yep. That's fucked up, man. Showing him his mistakes. One of his close friends, a survivor. Damn, you want to talk about psychological warfare? That is some dark shit.
Puffed up like a baboon's ass. Because I am a stand-up guy.
Yeah, in some ways.
If I let Dwight live.
Wow.
If you think about it,
damn.
That's a pretty screwed up deal, because I was going to
That's
marry
love.
his sister until she wound up dead, but
That's love.
Sherry is super hot. Yeah.
Yep, I knew he was going to say that. He's stubborn. We know Daryl's stubborn. Dwight, in some sick way, is trying to help him. He's trying to make him understand in some sick way. They're not, like, threatening Carol or someone else in the group. It's just him, and he won't break his own moral code. Dwight broke his moral code because he did it to save his wife, or now his ex-wife. That's why he did it. That's the guy he shot, right? That's the guy he shot earlier. Now he's back inside the fence. Just a constant reminder for something he has to stare at now, something he did. Alright guys, so that's my reaction there to The Walking Dead, Season 7, Episode 3, The Cell. So these episodes I love, but the issue is there's not, like, I'll probably have more than I think to put in the reaction, but there's not a lot of, like, holy shit, wow moments that I'm reacting to, because it's a lot of dialogue, it's a lot of paying attention, which I don't have a problem with. It just doesn't make for amazing entertainment, so I'm sorry for that, but I love this episode. It's another slow episode. There's going to be people out there that go, oh God, The Walking Dead is dragging on, or oh God, what a, terrible slow episode. I disagree. I thought last week you set up the community, a whole new community, a whole new leader, a whole new world. We catch up with Carol and Morgan. and I like that episode. I like this week's episode even better. In the 3 episodes, this is the second best episode of the season for me. I love it was so interesting to learn about Negan's world. Anytime Jeffrey D. Morgan's on screen and his presence with, playing Negan is great. Dwight, the first time I saw him and then even the other times, he's that character that you're supposed to hate. You're supposed to not like him. But in this one, not only did I was interested in his story, I kind of felt for him some ways, and I understood where he was coming from. And I think Daryl did too there at the end of that. So I would say 3 main points of the episode. I would say it's Negan's world, then I would just say Dwight, and then I would say Daryl. Very simple. So going into the first point, Negan's world. It's definitely, it's kind of as we would expect. I mean, there's a lot of things going on that we don't know yet. I don't personally know. Maybe someone could tell me down below what's going on with this whole fence thing. Obviously, it's grunt work that people do to earn points. They wear kind of these shirts or whatever that I think an A or something is spray painted on them. Something, right? Represents something. This yard has to be either to prevent people from escaping, or if they need walkers for missions, kind of like we saw with the governor use them in the pits and things like that. Maybe it has something to do with that. It's kind of some kind of entertainment arena where they throw people in there and people that they capture and people they want to kill in there just to have a laugh because, Negan is not above that as we've seen. So that's interesting to see what's going on there. They live pretty well. This looks like the main compound, I would assume, where Negan spends most of his time. But this is one of many compounds that he has. It looks like kind of like a jail that was repurposed. There's, Negan lives in a nice apartment there, probably one of the many places he has. Obviously, since it was probably a jail, there are cells of where Daryl is. And everyone there's, like I said during the reaction, there's half and half with the people that are existing in Negan's group. You have half the people who love it. They were thugs, they were shitty people where this world has made them shitty, and they're embracing it. It's pretty much the ultimate bullies club, is being a savior, and the ultimate bully is Negan, right? So there is some people that love that shit. They'll do anything he says, they'll do the stupid Val shit because they love it. They love what he's about. He's kind of like a motorcycle gang leader in a way, but even 10 times worse. Like, he's a god to these people, and they love it. Then you have people like Dwight, and I forget his wife's name or his ex-wife's name. They're people that exist there because they feel like there's nowhere else to go. Negan provides things for them, but also everything, like Dwight says, is his or will be. And he said that in the trailer as well. There's nowhere else to go. This is Negan's world. And they understand that they took punishment, but they need to be there because where else are they going to go? Where else are they going to turn? And, his wife said in the episode, yeah, it's better than being dead. And I said, I don't know. I kind of am more on the fence on a situation like that. Those are the people that exist in Negan's world. He's exactly, he continuing as we would expect. He's interested in Daryl for, I would say, his bravado and his strength. But he also wants to break him like Dwight and make him kind of a right-hand man. So I thought it was very interesting to see the world, see what's going on. They obviously have stocks of we see the doctor here. They have tons of supplies. They have motorcycles galore and probably many other things. They have a lot of supplies going on. And I can't wait to see Negan's world even more going forward. I would say the second point of the episode is Dwight, actually. Or no, maybe we'll do Daryl. Daryl, as we catch up with Daryl here, is in a horrible situation. As we would expect, he's in the cell. At the end, he's in there with his own throw-up. They're kind of torturing him in a way, psychologically more. Yeah, they beat the shit out of him physically, but that's because only he escaped. They're feeding him bread with dog food in the middle of it. They gave him a picture of Glenn's smashed-in brains to remember, and that kind of is what really broke him. Not entirely, but for a moment, that's what caused him to throw up, probably due to sadness. That's what really, they jabbed the knife in his back and twisted. That's what really got to him. It's as fucked up as you would think, but I like the representation in this episode. The overall aesthetic of this episode was great. not only from when it was, how it was shot and where it was shot and the look of it, or, when Dwight's out on that road, that single road shot in the sky with the grayness going on, kind of, maybe again, it's me reading too into the situation, but I really, in a lot of episodes, Walking Dead has scenes or episodes where there's greater hints to the story going on. Not just little Easter eggs or shout-outs to, like, old zombie movies like last week, but kind of things of representing our characters and representing the environment. And I think that whole gray thing was, it's probably the natural weather, but also it kind of represents this doom and gloom, this gray area that Dwight's in. That's how I read into it as I was watching the episode. The songs beautifully represented what kind of the characters were feeling, especially that one song, I forget what it was, that was going on for most of the time, was representing Daryl's continued hope that he's going to escape, he's going to get out, he's going to beat this, and he's going to either escape for himself or go back to Alexandria. Even though he's not thinking entirely rationally, he has this hope. He believes that he has to get out of here, and he's doing it for himself. And the song represented that. And then it kind of changed a little bit, to some kind of sadness song when he was reminded of Glenn. And then kind of, to a lesser degree, it was back again at the end of the episode where he's still holding on. He somehow got out of that cell. I'm not entirely sure how. I assume it had to do with him tinkering a little bit with the lock hinge so that when the guy shut the door, it really didn't shut right so he can open it. But let me know if you know better down below. You saw something. Maybe I'll see something when I'm editing. But he got out of there and he keeps believing in himself. And obviously we see in this episode that the other people that said that it wasn't Daryl's fault, that Glenn got killed, Negan was going to do it anyway. Again, you're always entitled to your opinion. However, in my opinion, you're wrong. And to a majority of people, you're wrong. To Norman Reedus, who came out and said it was basically Glenn's fault and he feels an enormous amount of guilt. We see it in this episode. Dwight literally says, you got your friend killed. And then we see the toll, the sadness that Daryl feels, not only because Glenn's dead, because he knows he did it. It was his fault. He fucked up. I think Abraham was going to be just the price that, Negan said, oh, this is you getting punished. Glenn was the punishment for Daryl. Not only because he kind of likes Daryl in a way, kind of this guts that he has to him, as he said in episode 1 of this season, but so that's why he didn't kill him, but also killing someone else means that now Daryl has to deal with that guilt. And I think Negan he's about the physical, sure, but he's also about the psychological long games. He loves that shit. That whole scene of him saying, who are you? Negan, Negan, Negan. That's what they were saying last season when we had that episode, Alicia, whatever her name was, the redhead, when they had kind of that little outfit that captured Carol and Maggie. We are all Negan, sweetie, as the smoker lady said. They all believe that. They all are extensions of Negan. That's what his eyes and his ears are everywhere. And he wanted Daryl to say that, and Daryl didn't break. So I really did enjoy that. And I would say the third point of the episode is Dwight. And continuing with the aesthetic of this episode, there was so many, I thought, again, maybe it's me reading too much into the episode, but I thought there was so many representations of what was happening. I mean, you have to start the episode, you have this awesome duality going on of how he feeds Daryl with bread and dog food, and how he went through all these things to make the perfect sandwich, the eggs and the lettuce and the tomato and the mustard and the perfect bread and all that stuff. But you could see that Dwight is obviously clearly higher up in the social status in Negan's crew, and Negan even said it himself. He's one of his right-hand men. So he kind of has access. He can push these people around, get the best supplies, the best food. But he went through all this process just to have that one delight, that one delicacy of a great sandwich. And as he's eating it, he sees this grunt going on of whatever they're doing with the walkers here. But in my mind, it was kind of a representation of looking at where he could have been, looking at maybe where he was and how he had to work his way all the way up, but also that one walker that was kind of on the spike or whatever and was trying to get up and then went back down. To me, that was a representation of someone, the walker, he's dead, obviously, but he was trying to have the will to stand up, to be him, himself, just to stand on his own 2 feet, and boom, the shittiness of the world, of Negan's world, pushed the walker back down. And obviously that's not the case The walker obviously was just on a spike, but it was a representation of why Dwight was looking at that he tried to escape, he tried to be better, he tried to stand on his own 2 feet and be a man and live his own life, and escape with his wife and her sister, and bang, Negan's world and his philosophy came crashing down, and he paid the price for it. He's just as much on the spike as that walker is, and clearly you can see by the burn on his face. I think even the burn on his face not only represents forever, kind of like an Avatar: The Last Airbender, I know it's a weird reference to it, of Zuko, right? That whole scar he has on his face is a representation, if anyone's ever seen that, of what his father did to him, the mistakes he's made, that will always stick with him. In this case, that's a constant reminder Dwight has of the price he paid not only for leaving and trying to escape Negan, but that's the price he paid to keep himself alive, but also to to keep himself alive was the price that his wife paid, now his ex-wife, but that was the price of punishment to keep her alive. And that is something that he always will have on him. And it's also kind of a duality of his fates, of kind of a two-face, like a Harvey Dent, like I said in the episode, of you have the half that is still Dwight, still looks like Dwight, still trying to be the way Dwight was, that he had some kind of moral code, that he was, trying to help himself and his wife and his sister escape Negan's horrible world. And then he has the other side that is all bowing to Negan for Negan because he knows he has to be. And I really like when episodes of Walking Dead they do things wrong. Like any other show, they do things wrong. There are filler episodes. They can drag out things. They can have weird character arcs. But one thing Walking Dead does most of the time well is great writing in their dialogue and these just great physical representations, these great kind of similes in a way, I guess, but like metaphors, I think would be the right word, of what is going on in the world. And I really love that stuff. It made me feel for more, in this episode, more for Dwight, because you see in that story that Negan told and kind of sticking it to him, but proving a point to Daryl, what happened. He comes back, they on the bike, they actually weren't trying to further escape. They went back to Negan to ask for forgiveness because they lost his sister, because they figured there was no other way out. Even the ex-wife in this episode, which I will eventually learn her name by next week, but she says, Daryl, you said that, I'm sorry, you're gonna be, right? I am sorry I'm back here, and this is the world I live in, especially that she's constantly, she is with Negan and probably does not want to. So he definitely, his whole thing hinted in this episode was, Negan's pretty much one rule, from what I understand in the comic books, is he doesn't allow rape or sexual violence. He said that as long as they say yes. So even though Dwight's ex-wife is kind of saying yes so Dwight didn't die, she also hates the situation she's in. So it's kind of this interesting tension going on. But Dwight still has some goodness in him. He killed that guy at the end because he realized what the guy was saying, and especially in that guy's situation where his life is going to suck when he goes back there. He's going to have to do that horrible grunt work with the with the walkers and everything else. He's lost his wife already, all that stuff. He put him out of his misery. Dwight put that guy out of his misery, even though he did threaten him with horrible stuff. He got the guy to move with digging up his wife and killing or throwing them to the fence, as they say, anyone the guy's ever talked to, some fucked up shit. But then Dwight had a moment of his old self, not his Negan counterpart, but his self that was there, and he put this guy out of his misery. Probably explained something to Negan. Maybe the guy wasn't being cooperative. I had to put him down, and Negan probably didn't really care. But it was a nice character moment for him where he is a shitty person, but there is some humanity left in him. There is some form of probably was a good person in Dwight. Even protecting his wife when he went back, like we said, to take the burn. And his wife was willing to marry Negan to save Dwight's life. So they definitely have a love for each other. We saw that in the stairwell scene where there's tension between them. There's, hey, does he treat you right? Hey, are you happy? And they both kind of answer, yeah, but they hate what's going on right now. They probably do miss being with each other. They do ask about each other. She seems happy and delighted when Dwight enters the room. Like, they still want to know about each other, but this is not the situation they're in. Negan was going to marry the sister, only because she had this medical condition. I think she was diabetic, I believe, which would be extremely hard to come with that medication in this world and scavenging for that. But Negan is willing to take the hit on that if you're my wife, if you're with me. They run off, she dies, and now it's replaced, like he said, with her super hot sister as well. So I thought their whole kind of relationship, this whole dynamic is very awkward. That even that scene of Negan and Dwight saying, like Negan going, hey, you've done great work. You can, go here into Pussytown, as he said. And I'm giving you free access. He even allowed him for this one time. He said that Dwight could go back with his ex-wife and have sex with her for that one point. And obviously Dwight, rightfully so, is feeling weird about that because it's like this man is giving you his permission to sleep with what was Dwight's wife. Like, it would be a whole situation that I would certainly, try to respectfully, because you don't want to get your ass beat by Negan, but respectfully refuse because that's so fucked up and that's so wrong. And that's why he does this grunt work, I think, not only to prove points to Negan and to gain those points, but it's also, it gets him out more. It gets him away from Negan more. And I definitely think he likes that and away from Negan as much as possible. Is definitely, something he wants to be. There was also the pregnancy scare, which he said, it's negative. He said, maybe next time. But I think Dwight was happy about that because that's the last thing he wants to see his former wife, who doesn't want to be with Negan, is then going to have Negan's child. So a lot of great things in this episode. Overall, guys, I love this episode. We got, a look into Negan's world. He has this great doctor. That he did hint something a little bit about not having an assistant. So did the assistant die? Is that someone that, we know or something, or we're going to know, or just kind of a throwaway thing that the assistant did die, maybe Negan killed him. Got a great representation into Negan's world, kind of way more backstory here on Dwight. In some ways, this was a Dwight episode above anything else. He becomes a little more sympathetic, him and his ex-wife now. It kind of fills in the story of last season, where it was like episode 5, I believe it was. So it was a long time ago, almost an entire technical full season ago, about a year ago. So nice to fill in some of those gaps to get more of the story and to just get how horrible it is to live under Negan for some people, and some other people love it. And just to see Daryl representing how broken he became, but he still has the fighting spirit, that he is still Daryl. He still answered, I'm Daryl. I'm not Negan, I am Daryl. And that great scene at the end that he had with Dwight, which, Daryl doesn't really have many dialogue lines in this episode. He doesn't usually, but especially in this episode. And that great line of Dwight saying that you did it because you were protecting someone. You did it for your ex-wife or whatever. And that's kind of a noble thing that Daryl understands with Dwight. And Dwight kind of, in a way, understands it, of how Daryl didn't accept the whole thing going on because he wanted to do that. He tried to do that. And it was a whole idea of Dwight was kind of sympathetic to Daryl in this episode, in the sense of, understand, you're so stupid, accept this whole Negan thing. He's going to do all these horrible things to you. And that's why Daryl was like, you did it to save someone. I'm doing it for me. There's no one left here. Even though, theoretically, Negan could go into Alexandria and roll up and kill someone because of Daryl's stubbornness. Daryl's doing it for himself, and he wants to keep that humanity alive, especially in a way. He made a mistake, he got Glenn killed, and this is not in a way to honor him, really, but in a way to stay true to himself, to not stoop down to that level and kind of betray Alexandria. And all those moments in the episode were great. All the metaphors in this episode were awesome. The way it was shot, the dialogue, loved the episode. Please let me know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Did you like the episode? Did you not like the episode? Any Easter eggs I missed in the episode? What do you think of the metaphors of this episode that I picked out? Am I right? Do you have any other metaphors that you caught in the episode that I didn't? Please let me know them down below. What did you think of Dwight's story? Are you more sympathetic to him and his ex-wife now? Understanding this whole weird dynamic he has with Negan. Do you feel like the story is now tightened more, that we got pretty much the fill-in answers of what happened about a year ago at this time in last season when that whole episode was going on? What did you think of this episode of Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing Negan, as always? And what did you think of Daryl? How long do you think it's going to take to break him? Will he break? The whole thing that was going on with Glenn and the picture and the music in this episode, and any other thoughts and predictions you have in the episode, let me know them down below. Like the video, subscribe, channel, share with your friends if you'd be so kind. And until next week of The Walking Dead, guys, thanks for watching.